It's Monday, June 10th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On Barnstable Today, we have budget updates from Beacon Hill, start to plan for hurricane season, learn how to have a special event on town property, and remind voters of a free pump-out service. Now for a look at municipal and legislative notes. The town of Barnstable will continue the MVP certification process by presenting and distributing a draft of the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Report to the public at a forum public information listening session scheduled for Tuesday, June 11th at 5 p.m. at Town Hall. This session will provide an opportunity for any member of the interested public to learn more about the MVP process and provide feedback about the MVP workshop and recommended highest priority actions resulting from the workshop. You can view the report on the town's website, www.townofbarnstable.us, under the Planning Department page. Representative Will Crocker joins us in studio with budget updates from Beacon Hill. Here with me today, Representative Will Crocker with a Beacon Hill update. Mr. Crocker, how are you today?
Very well, very well. Looking forward to the weather changing for the better, that's for sure.
It almost feels like it might be summer.
We're getting there. We're
Excellent.
getting there. Maybe by July.
Maybe by July, right. That's when the real season starts here in Cape Cod. But budget season has been well into swing at Beacon Hill. So what have we got for updates?
Well, the House has gone through our budget negotiations. The Senate has gone through their budget negotiations. They have passed their version of the fiscal year 20 budget. They've added about $74 million to the budget. So what that means is that there's a conference committee, and that has been set up, and they will begin negotiating a compromise agreement between both chambers. Usually it goes more towards the Senate side, so it'll probably be a higher figure than what the House came up with. But luckily for the town of Barnstable, or fortunate for the town of Barnstable, the two things that I had put in for the town of Barnstable, which is the $25,000 for the community service officers on Main Street in Hyannis, and the $20,400 for the Youth Summit, are both survived the House budget, both survived the Senate, remained untouched in the Senate, and I'm very confident that they'll make it through the compromise, the conference committee. So I think we'll be able to get our money. Right.
So let's talk. Those two programs are really critical to the town of Barnstable. The first, the community impact officers, they'll be starting very shortly. They're in training right now. The chief has talked about how much that these young men and women add to the police force in the summer.
They truly are the eyes and ears on Main Street in Hyannis. The police can't be everywhere. They've got a large town to patrol, and they spread out their forces as they deem is reasonable and necessary. But these men and women are on Main Street, walk in Main Street, develop a rapport with people who are on Main Street, the business owners as well, and so they know what's going on. They know who's where and what's going on, and if there happens to be a problem or something that's going on that the police need the attention of, you know, they're a walkie-talkie talk away, and the police can be there in a quick minute.
That's fantastic. And then the Youth Summit, Channel 18's covered this event over the years. The importance of teaching peer pressure substance abuse to 7th graders, how does that fit into some of the initiatives that the state has overall for opioid prevention?
Well, you know, it fits in really well because it's something that the kids are obviously very much exposed to as they're growing up through life now. So this Youth Summit, you know, unfortunately with the LaRusso Foundation having to back out at least for the time being for being their funding partner, the town asked me to see what we could do about doing temporarily, maybe just one-year thing, to be able to fund the Youth Summit for next year, and this money will be able to do that. This past year when I went down to the Youth Summit at Four Seas, you know, it's amazing to see all of the different services that were available there, soup to nuts for kids to be able to look at and talk with and find out, you know, if this is something that they need to know more about and to find out whatever, you know, it's a great thing.
Fantastic. And Vineyard Wind. We seem to be rolling along in some of the actual permitting and regulatory processes. So where are we at?
The host agreement, we've finally gotten out of the bills in third reading. It is going to go to very soon an informal session in the House, probably this week, where it will be engrossed in the House. Then it goes over to the Senate to be engrossed in the Senate. It'll come back the next day or possibly on a Wednesday when we have a formal session to be enacted by the House, then go back over to the Senate to be enacted by the Senate, and then to the governor's desk for signature. We're pretty certain that we'll be able to get that done within the next week to 10 days so that the governor can have it, sign it, and that the town of Barnstable will have what they need for their host agreement with regard to the Vineyard Wind, and that means anywhere between $14 and $30 million to the town of Barnstable over the span of the Vineyard Wind project.
Right. And let's talk a little bit about the I guess the synergy between the state and municipalities. A lot of folks, I think, don't have the knowledge that really, literally, as a municipality, we're almost governed by the state in what we do and some of the issues that or regulatory processes that we do. So when we talk about host agreements, what part of that agreement is the state really looking at?
Well, they're interested because some of the Vineyard Wind project goes through state waters, and they want to be able to look at that with regard to some of the things that the town wants to do, some of the things that the town is obligated to do with regard to making that project happen. So it's something that the state wants to look at, and they have, and they had some questions with regard to it, and we made a very concerted effort to be able to get those questions answered as soon as possible, get it through the two committees earlier this year, and then on to bills in third reading, get it through there, because sometimes that's where things get bogged down with leadership, and then now that it's out of there, we can start the wheels rolling again to get it through the House twice and get it through the Senate twice and then on the governor's desk, so that the town can move forward with what they need to have regulatorily in terms of an agreement to be able to start their end of the project.
Well, that's fantastic. Do you have a message for residents as you start the summer?
Well, hopefully everyone has a good summer. For me, it's going to be a short summer because I'm probably going to have I'm actually going to have a knee replacement in August.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'll be sitting out most of the month of August when people are on the beach. I'm going to be at home rehabbing a knee.
Well, let's hope that rehab is short and swift.
All right, thank you. I appreciate
Excellent.
that.
Thank you, Will.
The hurricane season officially began on June 1st. COM Fire District Chief Wynn says the most important thing you can do to prepare is to have a plan.
The best advice we have is to be aware, and I know it sounds cliche in Awareness Week, but really pay attention to what's coming as far as weather reports, messages from your elected leaders, and public safety messages from the departments that respond. These folks take a great deal of time, energy, and hard work in making sure we get the best, most accurate, up-to-date information out to our residents and our guests. And it's important for you to pay attention to what those messages say or recommend. When we think about preparedness, the first thing I would recommend is if you live in our district, you should know your zone. And knowing your zone means where are you if there's a flood. Those maps are on our website, they're on the MEMA website. They're available for everyone to see and look at and really consider what would happen to where you live if we were to have a hurricane such as the one bearing down on the Carolinas and the Virginia coast. What would that mean? And it's easy to see online. Know your zone is a very important component. The next component I would think about is the ability to be self-sufficient. If we have a major weather emergency and you have to be self-reliant, that's going to require you to prepare for 3 to 4 days of fresh water, food, and have a contact off Cape that can check in on you in the case communication systems go down. So you have some way of communicating, if you can, with someone off Cape who could relay messages to us. If folks are asked to evacuate, it's not because we want to hinder you or burden you. It's because we may not be able to respond to your location should there be an emergency. Evacuation notices are taken very seriously. They can really only be offered by the governor. And if someone says it's time to evacuate, it's because it's time to evacuate. We take that very seriously. Be self-sufficient for 3 days, have food, water, make sure your pets are taken care of, make sure you have meds ready to cover you if you have any prescription issues, and just be ready to be self-reliant. We may not be able to help. In the event of a Category 2 or 3 hurricane, the wind is going to limit our ability to respond because it simply won't be safe to put our responders on the road. We will take every response on a risk-based assessment, and there may be times where, due to weather, water, flood heights, street closings, we may not be able to get out and effect aid if requested. That's a two-way street, so if you hear of the wind and you hear of the water, that also means you shouldn't be out on the road, or you should be in a safe place as well. The biggest component is, honestly, is to be aware and to listen to the messages that are coming out from the agencies that are charged with protecting you. We offer a great deal of hurricane preparedness resources on our website, which would be www.comfiredistrict.com. In addition, you can go to the MEMA website, the Massachusetts Emergency Management website. They have a great deal of information specifically to Awareness Week, but also those Know Your Zone flood maps, tips for preparing self-sustainment for 3 days, and the things to consider for your family and your pets. So MEMA.gov has a lot. Remember that children are going to be listening to everything you're hearing on the TV. Even my 3-year-old son today at home was asking me about Hurricane Florence and if it was coming to Cape Cod. Children are very perceptive, and they know exactly what's going on because they hear the same messages that you hear. It's important to comfort your children and let them know that we'll take care of them the best we can, and have them be prepared for a bug out if necessary. The elderly are our greatest concern, whether it's a resident who lives at home who's on oxygen at home or requires a lot of prescription medications. Those folks need to be really looked at as a at-risk population for us as a community. We have shelters available here in the town of Barnstable and on Cape Cod, but really the elderly need to have the ability to have someone help them to be sustainable if something goes bad with a storm. We ask neighbors to check on their elderly neighbors. We ask family to check on their elderly family members. And just remember, there may be times we just simply cannot get to you because of the conditions of the storm.
Special events on town property just got easier to facilitate. Assistant Director of Planning and Development, Liz Hartsgrove, shares information on an easy-to-use website to plan your event. Special events means summer is right around the corner. With me today, Liz Hartsgrove. You've got all sorts of new things happening with special events. Started last year with the special event guide, which was a big hit. It helped people kind of figure out the maze through Town Hall to get an event going. So let's get an update. What's going on?
Yeah, the town manager did task planning and development to be in charge with streamlining special events, and how do people, organizers, actually go through, like you said, the process and wiggle their way around Town Hall and not feel weighted by it all. And so with the guidebook, like you said, total success. It's been really fabulous, and we also incorporated beer and wine on 3 separate locations in Hyannis area, the Town Green, Asselton Park, and the Hyannis Harbor Overlook, where the 3 new shanties are located. But yes, since June, we have been making good strides on trying to increase all of that awareness and perception and access to information. So, so now we have a website and a lot of online goodies that people can actually look from the comfort of their home and apply from the comfort of their home. So yeah, so it's a big thing coming up. I'm excited.
So let's talk a little bit about special events. It's not that you can have your retirement 50th party on the town green, but special events are for larger, sometimes larger organizations or established types of events that are out there. So give folks a sense of what we're talking about here.
Well, actually, we do incorporate 50th anniversaries or parties and stuff. We do, from small family gatherings all the way up to the very large 10,000 attendees type of events, like the happens on the green. Right. So yeah, so we accommodate any size, but what they do is they can go online now, and we have a on-town property calendar that people can go see what events are actually scheduled, and then they can plan accordingly and make adjustments to where they want to hold events. For example, if the town green is already occupied and scheduled for that particular weekend that they want to have an event, they can look at alternative locations, possibly Asselton Park or other outside, even any of the other 7 villages, six villages besides Hyannis. There's a lot of opportunities out there to enhance your event with the complements of our locations. So.
All right. What do people need to kind of understand about these other villages? Some of these properties fall under a different purview than you would think. So, you know, for example, Sandy Neck.
Yeah. Sandy Neck and the airport or the adult community center that was the former senior center, HYCC, the golf facilities, any of those, even the High Arts campus, the cultural campus. Those facilities are designated by the individual departments that the town manager has actually designated to be in control of. And those are particular, they have different nuances that each department needs to make sure that they can have a firm handle on. And so they have different forms, they have different things. This new website provides those links automatically, so then somebody can actually choose, okay, I want to actually have a fishing tournament at Lake Wequacket. So, and there's a link, and they can click on it, it'll bring them over to the MEA department and then to the right contact information. Or Sandy Neck, that they can go and again be directed over to the Sandy Neck website, and then they can obtain their wedding permit or a beach party type of thing. So.
But sometimes the first stop is just with you.
Yeah, so this website, again, is going to provide all that information. And if they have any questions further down for the all other properties, they'll provide the guidebook. It provides all that information. And then down at the bottom, for any particular questions about any town property, they should actually come to me. I can actually help them through the process, direct them to the exact person, rather than have them feel like they're on a merry-go-round going and being shifted between departments. So.
What are some of the things that people should keep in mind about scheduling or trying to schedule an event on town property?
Yeah, my first suggestion is looking at that town calendar, and the calendar is mobile friendly, which is really excellent, and then they can see and plan accordingly, and we accept applications up to a year in advance. So some of those annual events that we have, the really large ones, the day after their event, they are submitting applications to reserve for the following year. So we are already well in advance that people can see and adjust, like I said. And then what they can do is now we have an online application. So everything can be done. They can start the application. They can actually save it and come back later on. So they can stop and contact me, ask questions about the application, but then they can submit online, and they can also include attachments. In the website, we include site plans of the more frequent used locations, so then they can use the same map and identify where tents are going to go, all the enhancements, where the food is going to be served, where the entertainment's going to be, where the alcohol, or even a petting zoo. All of those things are things that we need to see what happens on the property, so we can make sure that we are giving them the right guidance of where it would be best suited for their event, and the size of it, or the attendance, or who the attendees are. That all plays into it. So.
Okay. Any other advice that you want to give people before we wrap up?
Just come talk to me. I think it's really, I'm the one-stop shop for it. I'm the call center for special events, and planning and development is going to be moving forward even faster. We're going to be accepting online payments. We're going to be doing a lot of different things, and so just stay tuned, really.
What's that phone number?
My phone number is 508-862-4068.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Liz.
Thanks, Paula.
Happy summer.
You too.
Here's a great way to keep our water clean. Take advantage of the free pump-out service at our various harbors. Jared Smaller, Assistant Harbor Master, takes us on a cruise around Katuitt Bay to pump out a scheduled vessel. A gorgeous day on Katuitt Bay. We are jumping on board with Jared Smaller, Assistant Harbor Master, and we're going to go pump out a boat. This is a free program to boaters here in Barnstable. Jared's going to tell us a little bit about the program, and you're going to see it live.
Already tied up to the boat. We open always wear gloves and eye protection. Get the cap open. Eventually. And up forward in the compartment here we have our hose. This boat has a fully electric pump, as does the other one in Phoenix. Pump out boats use a diaphragm style pump that pumps essentially right from your boat into the holding tank. Put this on with Camelot leathers. Make sure it's closed so that we don't have anything happen initially. Turn it on. Then slowly open the valve. And you sit here, and here's a sight glass that shows what's coming through. And right now there's actually not too much in this boat. So right now it's just cycling through what it's got there. So that's pretty much done. If the tank on this boat was full, it would probably take about 90 seconds to 2 minutes for it to pump it all the way out. Close the lever before we open anything else up so that we don't discharge anything elsewhere that we don't want it to be. Slowly take it off. Remove the fitting. Back in so we can flush some water through. Secure our hose. Pump down. That's essentially how the pump out goes. Nice and quick and clean. As you can see, there's nothing that leaks out. It's a completely sealed system. And the final step that we do is we leave a business card on board that does have all of the information for the pump out program. They have our phone number and the email address for the pump out program, so if you need service. And we put the date and the time and who pumped your boat. So when these people come back on board, they can see that their pump out was done and their boat's all set and the holding tank is ready for the weekend.
How important is it for the environment to do this on a regular basis and not get your tanks too full?
The tanks are they're a sealed tank, so unless you have a failure in the tank, there's not going to be any leakage for the most part. It's a good service because A, it's free and funded through state and federal grants, but it's also just our environment. I mean, the water is a huge resource here in the town of Barnstable in many ways, recreationally and commercially. Right over all through this area is a huge shellfishing area that the last thing we want to do is be pumping sewage into it. You know, it leads to norovirus and all kinds of other things.
Right.
And it affects the ecosystem and what we are as a town and as a region.
Right. And I know that we're here at the Katuitt town dock, but where else is this service available?
This service is available town-wide. We have a boat here that services primarily the 3 Bay area of Katuitt Bay, North Bay, and West Bay. And we also travel to Hyannis to offload. And then we will also stop in East Bay if we need to. We do have one regular customer over in East Bay. And then we also have another boat that's in Hyannis that services the Lewis Bay and Hyannisport area. And that boat can come over here. This is a busier area because it is larger for us.
Sure.
That boat can come over here if we had a really busy day that needs to supplement. And then we have 2 shoreside facilities in Hyannis, both at Bismore Park, and then we have another shoreside facility in Barnstable Harbor, because there just isn't as many boats. There aren't as many boats that need pump outs over there.
Right.
So the shoreside facility works well for us.
Okay. And the actual ability for people to, call and email on a busy weekend, what's kind of the time frame for folks? Should they, kind of anticipate getting the pump out, or?
Yes, it's always better if you can anticipate and plan ahead for it. That gives us the opportunity for any weather issues. Yesterday it was really windy, that if we wanted to do this yesterday, I would have tried to reschedule because it was just too windy.
Right.
We definitely don't want to cause damage to a customer's boat, to our boats. We don't want to get anybody hurt. There's too many opportunities for bad things to happen if it's a really poor weather day. Wind and lightning are our biggest deterrents to being able to do this.
Okay.
But it also allows for staffing changes and other things that may come up that need to take a priority. So we would like a few days' notice if possible, but when we're out here on the weekends, that's what we're out here to do. These boats, although they can respond to emergencies and they're fully equipped to handle any of that stuff, the primary purpose of these boats, over and above anything else, is pump out. Again, they're funded through grants, and as part of that, it's to be used for pump out. So these boats are out here to pump your boat all the time.
And let's just take it to the conclusion. Sure. Once it lands in this boat in the holding tank, where does it go?
This boat will then go to Hyannis. We'll take it by water.
Okay.
And we will use one of the 2 stations over there. And then from there, there are 2 pumps over there. They're called peristaltic pumps. They just operate on a different style. A little bit heavier duty because they have a lot further to draw everything from, between emptying a 450-gallon holding tank on this boat into the town sewer system. So it goes right into a pumping station that's there at Bismore Park and ends up right in the town sewer system.
Excellent.
And our north side station as well pumps right from this tank there into the town sewer system as well. So everything is treated properly. It ends up just where it would if you were flushing the toilet at your home.
And where it should go.
Exactly.
Exactly. Excellent. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, things to do, places to go, and people to meet. Comments, suggestions, accolades, connect with us on Facebook, email us, or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works. For you, I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.